So, in the time between a gooner exposing himself to bikini clad baristas in Tempe and the stunning and brave revelation that the attendees of Charlie Kirk's funeral caused a whole ass grinder outage in Glendale, the state of Arizona has decided to enact online ID based age verification for adult sites. On the surface, it's understandable to keep younger folks from seeing some wild shit, but it comes with a whole host of problems. Now, in response to this, the Hub, we all know what that is, decided to pull out of Arizona come Friday, September 26th. And it ain't looking good, all because they don't want the flimsiness of data collectors put people in jeopardy. Now, this shit is a known problem, and it ain't it, Chief. Luckily, if you are already a verified creator, you are fine as the hub verifies ages to prevent any illegal COD points, if you will. But now, if you're some guy who is getting his jollies from the hub, you're fucked, and not like any of these verified auteurs. It's tough, and I wouldn't be surprised if one of these gooners lost it and went falling down and started blasting. And I'm not exactly, I don't mean like pulling up and, getting off like in the drive through or anything. I'm talking straight up pulling up and popping off. And we can't have that shit happen here. And these same politicians who enabled this shit will be all like, oh, thoughts and prayers over something they could have prevented, but they didn't. And they enabled it as such a slippery slope, as such a precedent. It's fucked. Like, I know this will sound like cap, but I'm not exactly interested in watching that, material. I know people are like doubting, pressing X to doubt and everything. That's all fine. That's all good. You can say what you want, but it's really not my forte anymore, personally. But, if I were so inclined to watch it, I shouldn't be forced to put my ID up there. I should be allowed to watch that shit if I want to, as a full grown adult, without putting my data at risk. And that's like the crux of the issue. Because here's the thing, obviously, I'm an adult. When you think about it, it's more dangerous to put that shit up online than when you go to the club or you go to buy alcohol and they scan your ID and, they have that info retained for like typically like 30 days before it just disappears. Now, this shit, it's locked in and it could be breached at any moment. And we're talking more high level shit, we're talking about what people get their jollies off to, not none of that like, oh, this guy likes a Jack and Coke. None of that shit. And it sucks and it's tough because it's not like even like weirdo shit. Obviously, kids shouldn't watch or be involved with it in any capacity at all. And I really do mean that, and that's pretty much common sense over here. And I get that there's this trope of sneaking peeks at the Playboy, just like sneaking beers, sneaking cigs, sneaking weed, and all that shit. But it doesn't mean we should make it harder, and not in the fun sort of way, for adults to be able to get their goon on or whatever. But like, I get it. It is tough to regulate and make the internet safe, especially for the younger crowd. I get it. But this ain't it. This ain't it, Chief. This won't ever be it. This will and has been used elsewhere as a pretext to stifle free speech and the free flow of information. Not to mention, this fuels a need for market substitutes, some of which can be more harmful, dangerous, and even illegal. There are paid platforms like OnlyFans, Fansly, OnlyFans, etc., that they will still exist, obviously, and they fill that gap to some extent. But it ain't the hub, because, we're talking about pretty much the Costco of adult content. You know what I'm saying? You got the MILFs, you got the nerds, the busty Latinas, you got it all. Well, within legal reason, of course, and that's a hardline stance that they obviously should promote. Everyone should promote that it should be totally legal. It might be, downright disgusting. You might not, get your jollies off to it, but as long as it's all legal and it's everyone's consenting and everything's legal, then what's the problem? I don't care. I really don't. Now it'll be gone like that. Granted, I see people talking about Reddit and other platforms, good substitutes. People sometimes mention Telegram, and but I get the impression that things are beyond down bad. If you're relegated to Telegram for news, for that kind of shit, I mean, it's so over. And it's never been this over in the history of anything and everything. Shit, but this is concerning, and it isn't coming from any kind of pro-gooner perspective like miss me with that shit. I ain't budging. But this opens up a whole can of worms, and it doesn't stop any of, these young people to get locked in on this shit. And that's something to prevent, obviously. And this, it ain't it, Chief. All this legislation, make things harder for the working man. And I don't mean in the fun sort of way like what you would get on the hub, but it's all tough, man. That's the thing I realize. And it is my sincere hope that somehow the state of Arizona can get it through their thick skulls that maybe this isn't the move. Maybe this ain't it, Chief. And maybe we have to start from scratch to make sure that, minors aren't getting affected or aren't getting harmed by predators. Maybe we should do that instead of making it harder, more difficult for adults who just want to get their freak on. But, obviously there will always be other platforms, and that's the thing. There will always be platforms, and you never know where that shit will take you. Like, Jesus Christ. But anyway, I just wanted to rant about this shit, so I will see you all later. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll be with you all later. Bye.